we compare with the pending bill before the Senate, which may make it national. But I did give a talk 2 years ago on why engineering leaders should care about intellectual property. And intellectual property does change from time to time, so every once in a while, maybe it would be wise to remind people.
I'm not saying all presenters look alike, that's all I'm saying. I'm mixing their presentations, I apologize.
Life's there.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and I thank everybody for the opportunity to be a sponsor and a presenter.
Thank you, Steve.
Let's take care of it.
So, I'm going to be introduce May here. Actually, I like this. Nextdoor. Actually, my wife's on Nextdoor all the time. And at Uber, this is quite an interesting career. So May is the head of local engineering at Nextdoor, which is actually a website that you can communicate locally with your neighbors. My wife is on it all the time. And she's the head of customer obsession engineering at Uber. That's a very interesting career to have there. The idea of basically accountability to me comes in so many different forms. I can't wait to hear May with a much more broad experience. How they can be like, whenever you have customers, remember that you can make mistakes, and you can help make mistakes, just fix your mistakes. There's all kinds of ways that you can hold people accountable. And so I know I'm here to meet, so I'm going to take over there. Great and stuff like that. Thank you very much. The floor is yours.
In the valley, can you all hear me? Yes? No? Okay, please stay closer. Better? No. Okay. Okay, all right. In the valley, there's so much going on. No surprises, you're all leaders, right? People are working. That's what it seems to be. We run, we work. But as leaders, are people working well together? Can they depend on each other? Do they execute well? As leaders, we want to instill a culture of accountability. So what does accountability mean? To me, accountability means telling others what you're going to do, then do it. Communicate what you're going to do by when, right? And go do it. To whoever it is that you promised it to, you committed it to. But that is more simpler said than done, right? So let's talk about why accountability is hard, and then I'll share with you some of the things I've done. Afterwards, I would like to have an open forum and have discussions so we can learn from each other. I'd love to hear some of the things that you've all tried that worked and things that maybe didn't work so well. So thank you all for coming tonight. I'm Riley, and thank you to SVELC and Kimberly for having me here. Right? Let's take a look at why it's hard and yet is essential. Look, it's not projecting.
Hold on a second. We're trying to get the volume to turn up a little bit.
Thank you.
So, how many engineers take the turn up the volume? Speak a little bit.
Yes. This way.
Maybe say a couple words so we see how it's going.
Yes. Oh, well, that is loud. Good to see. Is that too loud?
That's good.
Is it much better? Okay.
You can tell us what you think engineering leadership is versus engineering.
Oh, yes. Yes, I did see you. Grew up, went to school, worked in the Valley, almost 30 years in the industry, and as of last week, I joined Nextdoor. And so tonight, on the things that I'm going to share with you, I'm about to try it for the third company in a row, and let's just see how it works as I try to instill a leadership culture at my new place. So let's talk about why it's really hard, right? Organizations, fluid and dynamic, especially here when we look at companies that are growing, right? There are a lot of startups in the Valley and even large corporations. Things move really fast. people as leaders have to restructure and build your org as the way you need. And sometimes it's really hard when you don't communicate or you don't spend a lot of time aligning with your peers. And so it's really hard to understand the organization, what they do, what they're responsible for, how we fit, how we work together. Okay? Whose team here likes to write documentation? Oh, look at that! Wonderful engineering teams. But you know, from people, in my experience, don't like, especially engineers. Or there's really no time. It seems like you just code, you design your testing production, there's no time. Or things change so fast that there's really no point. When you're looking at engineering resources that are expensive, that's one of the first things to go is documentation. And so, not very much guardrails, not a lot of checks, right? And so things end up looking like this. The way you build your org, the way your tech stack ends up coming out, and outside looking in is pretty tough. When you also have a company that used to fit in one room, one building, one location, all of a sudden now you're thousands of people all over the world, right? It's really, really tough to get out there and understand what's currently happening, who's doing what where. And the lines becomes blurry in the various organizations. Another challenge that I've experienced is the business growing, right? Which is a wonderful thing, growing, but at the same time, it's really hard to forecast and project, right? Where the business is going, what the needs are, what you need to be building and why. Usually there's also not enough time for conversations, not enough time for planning. You have really quick things, and then you both just run and go, and you just have a check along the way. And so there's a lot of assumptions that goes into, right, in the products that you build. So my last company, I was at Uber for over 3.5 years. Uber Eats was built in about 100 days with people just sitting on road. Right, day of launch, customers came in, before you know it, they launched 5 cities, 25 cities, 50 cities, right? It was all hands on deck all the time. I remember the Eats manager reached out to me for help as I was leading platforms at the time. And it was great to have a product that's high in demand. But when you have this high growth and high business, rapidly growing, it's actually not sustainable, right? If you're not actually all hands on deck is great, but all hands on deck means everybody's in there doing all kinds of stuff. So the wonderful side of growth also has a downside that actually affects your team and the way you build your products. You all know this, right? It's a fine balance between process, having enough, and too much, right? And when you grow so fast, you feel like you're just on shifting sand, right? Everything is changing underneath you. Whatever you step on, right, you'll probably be sliding. You hope that your leg doesn't get blown up. No one likes heavy processes. I know I don't. And some companies are actually allergic to them because it hampers the speed of product development, right? People prefer very lightweight and then just go ahead and build it. Let's see what it's like. And then before you know it, the MVP is production. Okay? And so with very limited planning and alignment, you leave a lot of room for interpretation. Last year, I traveled to Phoenix for a major product launch, my last company. Product, infrastructure, operations, engineering, all the leaders, we arrived the week before, several days before, just to make sure training happened, setups happened, all the playbook, everything was all ready to go. And then we had decided, okay, day of launch, we'll do at midnight, because that's when traffic is lightest, you drain your traffic, and you get going. We had a check-in. So we had a check-in with the Phoenix, where I was at, Toronto, Manila, Ohio, went down the playbook, did check-in, and everyone gave a thumbs up, ready to go, ready to launch. So within 10 minutes, roll call was done. We had plenty of time, hang out. Midnight came, we started the launch, 15 minutes in, and nothing happened. Uh-oh. And so, of course, the program manager began going down the playbook, started making calls. And what we found out was the lead in Phoenix turned around and said, he's checking the dashboard to see what's going on, and he said, "Mine, is this the right link?" And I said, "Yes, did you have access before, Joe?" He saw other people have access and assumed he had access, right? And so then the discussion started happening. We're like, wow, so what is the target audience that we are launching to? This is a major launch for us. Was it only to the diamond, the gold, the platinum driver partners, or was it to all partners? Because the office is also staffed with special experts that are also targeted to the launch. And so after we worked it out, made a couple of changes, synced all the locations, by the time we launched, it was well past 2 a.m. Right, so playbooks are great, all this stuff is great when you're moving fast and you kind of leave a lot of room and assume to each other, and everyone says we're all ready to go, things don't work as the way you thought. And I don't know about you, but I don't know if it's ever happened to you, but it happens to me quite a bit. Goals change, and it keeps on changing. More goals keep getting added, more changes come, but yet, none of the ones you committed was taken off. So it's like pile on, but nothing comes out. Nothing is prioritized or deprioritized. And so you end up going, wow, that's a lot of stuff. And the other thing too is when you're also working large teams, faster pace in a growth, sometimes you misinterpret the goal. Your peer sees the goal differently, right? And so you're both building, and by the time you come together, the experience is jarring and it's not what you both thought. Several companies ago, we came to an executive review, and so the product was projected onto the screen. We all looked at it, and the room just fell really quiet. The VP of product finally spoke up and said, "We built Frankenstein." It was just stood quiet, and he turned around to my SVP and said, "We need to go back and beautify the product." And I have to say that was putting it very, very lightly, right? Product, design, UX engineering across 5 different organizations was building our flagship product, transforming it, right? And we all had interpreted the goals differently, or the user experience differently. And when we come together after we built it, looked at it, like, wow, that's a lot of different interpretation, right? So as hilarious as it is, these things happen. So I don't think, just by looking at all of you, I don't think a lot of these things are surprising as I see your smiles, your laughter, your head shakes, right? I'm sure you've all seen and had experience of various flavors, right? They were definitely all my experiences. And so what did I do? So over the course of many years, I developed some principles that I've used, obviously tailoring it to various different companies and cultures and teams that I've led. And so let me walk you through them. And afterwards, let's have a conversation about your experiences as well. So what do I think of accountability? I believe that it all starts with us as leaders. I know I hold myself accountable as a leader, right? Is that it has to start with me. Do I have goals that I understand? Can I articulate that to the leaders that I lead, right? And the employees in my organization? Am I clear as a leader what my org is responsible for? What is the success criteria and how is it measured? Do I and my leadership team align and agree on the expected delivery and milestone? I'm actually on week 2 in my new job, and these are all the things my waited and asked. I came in with the roadmap already set, presented to the board, and says, you lead this, here's the goals, here's the milestone. He was like, wow. Now let me go through one by one in each of my area with my stakeholders and let me understand all the things. What am I accountable for? What are the timelines? What are my resources? And then I check with my leadership team, and that's still work in progress right now, to go through each org and say, did you know this? You agreed to this. Did you understand this measure? How's it calculated, by the way? Okay? Also part of my experience, during the days of Delete Uber, back in our rough year 2017, one of my org was told to do whatever it took, right, to get this long laundry list of deliverables, these features to be built. And it went on for weeks at a time. You can imagine the stress, the pressure, and everyone was just tired and beat. And so I asked my stakeholders for a 2 months timeout, because I said the team is really tired. People need a break, right? We need to actually step away, take a break, come back, and assess what have we built in the haste, in the short time. We built it, we got the door, it is working, probably not that great, but it's working. But let's just take a look at all the bugs that came back, the scalability, all the things we hacked along the way. And then create a technical roadmap and a plan on what to do going forward. I remember at the time, I reached out to a couple of my peers and I said, hey, I want to do this. And they're like, are you crazy? You're going to get fired. We don't do things like that here. As leaders and the business is growing, we're under so much pressure to build more, do more, launch more, faster and faster. And it was not the way things were done, right? So we always have the pressure of growth and revenue and trying to do engineering product scalability. And so my response was, oh, well, it's my job, right? It's my job to actually represent my team, my employees, the product, the platform, the services that's built. Because if it falls over, I said, you look around the room, cross-functionally, I'm the only person with the title engineering on my head. None of you guys have it. And so I think the responsibility was me. And so I said, so be it. Without my team, there will be no product, no platform. I'm a leader of nobody. And so fortunately, my peers called the meeting. My stakeholders agreed. I was like, oh, dang, this is fantastic. So it was the first time that something like that was done at the time, back then. And so that's why I truly believe, right, that I have to set that example. The tone begins at the top, right? And so for me to instill that culture of accountability to my team, it has to start with me in order to build that to my organization's DNA. Communication is also really important. Because a lot of times when you end up building and launching the business growing really fast, you kind of forget what your team is here for, what your org is supposed to be doing. Why are we here? What are we doing? This is the mission statement of one of my former teams that I led. I held them all hands to communicate and kind of just reset the team and said, do you understand that of all the things we're building for goals or OKR, this is the intent, right? This is the result. This is what we have wanted. That of who we are, what we want to be. And so as a leader, being clear with the principles of your role and who you're accountable to, right? The customer, right? Your employees, right? Your shareholders, and the choices you make as a leader, both short-term as well as long-term value, right? It's always going to be a balance. And sometimes what I found out is you have to state the obvious to your team. Because sometimes I walk into some places, I think I assume, oh, they knew, or they understood, like, oh, no, actually they don't. I actually have to actually say it. And you have to say it again and again to remind folks, right? And so, yeah, communications, extremely important, over and over again. I'm a visual person. I draw all kinds of stuff. Architecture, design, I draw everything. And so I drew one of these a couple years back because I wanted to ensure my team knew how things go from strategic planning to develop to launch, right? And how things work end to end. And this is the life cycle. I wanted my team to understand that, hey, everything starts from where the company's going, right? With the business vision, the strategy, the growth, all that stuff. And it's also combined down into engineering. You have to have both, right? And engineering is what? You have, I put up there, it's funny, I used to whiteboard this to all my new hires as I have close with new hire. I would onboard them. After a while, I said, let me just draw it permanently instead of just whiteboarding and show it to them. And then over the years, I also added some details because I realized, I took it for granted that they understand what quality of service meant. What engineering table stakes are, which means like it's in my head already. Like, yeah, I have to actually type it out, tell it to them. And I want them to understand why is it that they're being asked to do what they do. And I want them to be able to tie all their work and their efforts back into the company's success, right? Into the measure, now they understand why we build this way, why we approach this way, why support asked in this sequence in this way. I wanted to understand that, and I want to understand where their part of the world meshes in with the flow. And another thing for me is that people used to commit to roadmaps, they commit to OKRs, and the last day of the month, the last day of the quarters, when they're like, and everything magically is done. I'm like, no, you have to do it over time. Milestone by milestone, month by month, week by week, depends on how you measure, but it can't be that the last day everything launches and everything's gonna work and suddenly your metrics gonna light up, right? And so many times I do this thing to tell people is, hey, in my head, I'm thinking if we set these milestones, we have these cadence, it kind of looks like this, and so I like you to break out all your work, break out your designs, break out your product, right? This wonderful vision, break it down to the next several layers, and let's take a look at what we're gonna build, and then how we're gonna see when we can actually build this. And I also want the engineers at the end to know that this is how they tie, this is their contribution to the company, so they can be proud of what they do. Slowing down to go fast. I know it's the opposite of many things of what people believe. It's like faster, hurry up, revenue, gotta get that metric, gotta go launch. But when things get really crazy and people start to get frustrated, one of the things, the first thing I do is like, time out, everybody take a break. Let's zoom out a little bit. Let's take a look at where we are, what's going on, why are you frustrated, why are things not working? Let's take a moment and zoom out and take a look again. And my approach has always been, I always stabilize the org first. I always focus on people first. Because to me, if you can get your whole people to have a break, to have clarity of thought, to sit back and kind of reassess where they're at, no matter what situation that it's in, everything else just comes. Innovation, creativity, all that stuff, it'll just come. So I always focus on people first. Because if there's no people, there's actually not going to be any result. There's no product, no services, no platform. And the other thing that I also do as I slow down is I remind people, right, of our principles of engineering, our principles of how we work together, how we collaborate, our values of teamwork and collaboration. And I also, during this time, as part of that stabilization, we step back to review. Okay, we made this commitment, we made this goal, here's where we're at. What do we want to do now? Right? It's not about, oh well, all the stuff that happened. No, we're here, and we're supposed to be going there. We have this much time left. What would you like to do now? And I'd like my team to come up with the how of what happens next. Right? Not me at the top going, that would never work. Okay? And so I like to recalibrate. Take a break, zoom out, and recalibrate. I do this a lot. I assess my organization a lot. Who do I receive? How are they doing? What are the gaps? Right? How I'm building my team currently where it's at. And I always want to take a look at where are my teams? What is where? What we're building where? Where are my skill sets? Who's making decisions where in which part of the world? Because things change a lot. Right? The roadmap changed, things change. The team that I intend to do this now, they do several other things as well. Okay, especially when they're far away from headquarters. I'm a sports person, very competitive. I always compare everything to how I build a soccer team, is how I build my org. I have my stars, the A bench, the B bench is all of the folks that are consistently working, coding development, the people I can rely upon, and then the C, the youngins, the interns, new college grads that I'm moving and growing to the organization. Right? When I hire people, I always tell them, I hired you for a specialty, a skill, an expert, some sort of domain knowledge. But when you arrive to my work over time, I expect you to grow in different areas and you choose which way you want to grow. And I'm going to give you a lot of opportunities for you to grow. You pick, and sometimes people pick, they don't like it, they go back, and that's fine. But the intention is that we're a team, you're an expert in something, and I will give you opportunity to shadow and learn other things so we can actually have, coverage, right? You can do many things. And so we begin to build a very strong organization, and with that, we can pretty much build anything, right? Because at the end of the day, if you think about it, engineering, we can do all kinds of stuff. It's funny, in one of my former company, we had grown so fast that one time the leadership team decided, oh, let's take a look at where our gas is, where we're going, and as we start to do the next year's planning. And so we whiteboarded all the locations where engineering was. And so engineering at the time was in what we whiteboarded, like, wow, we're in 30 locations. Then we went to each location and we went around the room as which engineering leader had a team there. And then we went to the board and we put in what we were building over there. And we sat back like, wow. Each of us as leaders was building everything everywhere all over the world. There's no rhyme or reason. There's no, anything. We're like, wow, we just were building hodgepodge team everywhere because we needed resources. People were available and we just hired. And there was no clear ownership of a site. There was no clear ownership of a site lead or what was dominating that site. We could say that site is the payment system, that site, like it was just all over the place. And when that happens, you actually don't know who's making a decision which part's where, because it's all over the place. There was really no clarity, right, of a leader. Okay? And so you can't play to win if you're not clear on who's making a decision, where and when in your organization. Here's an example of the principles at one of my former org. Okay, it kind of lays out my leadership principles. I share this with my team in every site that I build when I go out there, and I hold all hands and tell them, I want us to be one team, right? It's very important that we understand that. One mission, okay? We're in multiple locations. We're many experts, right? Background differences, right? We have a bunch of different skill sets because we always hire for various skill sets, so every team can be autonomous, and we have diverse backgrounds. But ultimately, we share goals. So I remind people of this, and I no longer take it for granted ever again. I will say, hey, let's have a conversation. Okay? This is my leadership principles. This other picture, once again, I also drew it. Several companies ago, I began drawing this picture. I used to whiteboard as I hire all my new folks, but I started whiteboarding because I wanted to understand that it's not about hierarchy, right? When you build a scale organization to build scale product, it's not about your title. It is not about who you report to. It's about a group of experts, cross-functional experts coming in together to achieve something, a goal, a mission, a product, right? We all come together, we represent, I'm a head of product, I'm a head of design, my expert is this backend, my expert is this database. We all come together to build something. And there's always going to be, your lead of architecture, your operational leads, your quality leads. But at the end of the day, everyone's coming together to build and do something. Okay? You still have your manager, you still have your location, you still have your team, but working together means you're coming together cross-functionally, okay? With all expertise. This came from a slide. Okay. This came from a slide of one of my deck when I went to visit my Bangalore team late last year. Because over time, when you're building teams, you build out across time zones, across cultural languages, it's great, right? You have a different perspective around the world. You can build better experiences for your customer. The local folks could understand local regulations, cultural requirements, right? That's the wonderful things. A lot of times, though, what happens is that people begin to go, wow, and they begin to have the mentality of us versus them. And I do just remind people that that is the value. Our differences is the value, right? And it's not about us as them, it's about we, right? We. And we value the differences in people and their opinions. And that's what's going to make our product experiences, what we build, a lot richer, okay? And the knowledge and the thinking. This picture, right, is the theme of how I lead. It's always about together, not in silos. Because at the end of the day, when you assemble the product, you assemble the tech, it's always about together. Everybody's building pieces of it, but it has to come together to something. I think one time, one of my prior company, we were building stuff, didn't work well, we had a retrospective. And I remember in that room, I used a house, an example, I said, when we all had decided to build this, I was thinking it was a 10-story building. And they were like, no, I was thinking it was gonna be a 3-story building. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so because we were having a disagreement about the foundation, I expected a certain scale, I expected certain things, right? When we started coming together, we started measuring, it's not what I was expecting. We came together and what we thought we were building was a little different. Right? And so a lot of times we have intended it different, we are building it differently, and so I said, so my theme has always been, I always share this thing like, no, we're building it together, right? We all have different expertise, we're assembling together, right? And the value, I remind my team again, is teamwork and collaboration. And we come together with the North Star of whatever this is, right? We all have different pieces of it, we'll assemble, we're gonna build, right? And our vision of our org, our product comes together through partnership and shared goals. We take it for granted sometimes when we have organization charts. We come together and we see each other's titles, we look up at the org chart, like, okay, that person's in this meeting, they're responsible for that. But you'll be surprised that we assume that we're doing this, you're doing that, I'm doing that, he's doing that, she's doing that, and we begin to have duplicate work, multiple decision makers, or nobody's making the call, or something fell and no one owned it. So I tend just to start, like I hate like heavy racy model at the beginning. I said, let's just do something really light. Who's responsible? Who's building this thing? Who's designing this, who's that? And then at the end, like who's accountable? That means who's the final decision maker when something breaks, when something happens, when it blows up, who's ultimately responsible? So it's very lightweight. But these are like the things that you need to know, and also be able to have it lightweight enough so that peers or people outside can look at it and go, oh, okay, that's where I go to here, that's where I go for that person, right? Who's going to make the final call? Because at the end of the day, it has to be very clear, who is the final owner? One person making the call, one person owning it. Not a Slack channel, not a chat room, right? Not a group of people. Because sometimes you're like, you put something in and like the Slack channel comes up. Like, no. One owner, one final decision maker. This is really, really hard to do. Focus. It's amazing how hard this is. The larger the organization, right? The larger the footprint of your product, the harder it is to focus. It seems that there's so many things that need to be done, right? And everybody has a need and a reason why it has to be done. One of the things that I tell my team a lot is just like, hey, we made this commitment and this roadmap for this year, right? Let's hone in on it. It's not that the other things are not important, it's just not important right now. Okay, and I always tell my team, I said, look, always look at your goals, look at the OKRs. Everything that you do maps into one of those. That means you're moving into one of those things. And if it's not, please don't do it, right? Or please push back, right? And if you have trouble, ping my and I will push back. So oftentimes in meetings, especially to my folks that are new and they're not quite sure, right? We have our chat on, and in the meeting stuff, they would ping me, and I would say it for them. And I said, and that is my role, I will do that for you. If you can't, then ping it to me and I will say it, right? It's because at the end, it's better to build something, get something out the door, something that's meeting worthy, versus doing a bunch of things, just peanut butter, and you're barely moving any needle. And over time, it's just frustrating. You have so many goals and you're barely moving any of it. So very, very hard, but extremely crucial. I also do this calendar as well, because what happens is that teams all over do a lot of different things. Everybody's moving at a different pace. But to get something built of scale, right, technical product of any kind, getting the team to the same beat, the same rhythm, the same cadence, right, is easier to align, especially the technical roadmap, building platforms, fixing things, doing things at large scale. This is an example of one of my former teams of a calendar. I made one of these calendar. On there, the color is every 2 week sprints. The holidays are in yellow. And then all the meetings that we have. Because I want my entire organization, my leadership style is very transparent. I tell people as much as everything that so they have information, do what they need to do. So they need to know, when do leaders come and make a decision? When do they come to do planning? When do they come to try it? When do we come together to discuss? The technical leaders come to discuss architecture and design. When do we have all hands? When do we have forums and stuff so they know what's happening in the organization? If they understand how we run, how we meet, how we do things over time, then they actually understand, okay, so I develop, I launch, and it kind of goes like this, right? And so there's actually no surprises. And what's nice is this calendar sets the expectation my stakeholders will. They're like, so that's how your organization roll. I said, yes, that's how we are. And so they're like, okay, so that this day and time, if I need something, I show up here, I do this. So it kind of sets the whole organization for my stakeholders, my partners, my dependencies, as well as to my own organization. This is another example that I have. I always remind my people, hey, let's plan. Let's not plan to work on holidays, weekends, or nights. Let's not plan on committing, making commitments to rats. There's no bodies in the seats. There's no butts in the seats, so you can't count them, right? Let's not count people who are on leave. Let's not count people who are taking vacations. Let's realistically look at our organization, right? Who is there? And the keyword is available, right? Who is available this quarter, right? To actually do something, to build, okay? And every one team we estimate, and we actually break it down by skill level as well, is because you can't hire enough skills everywhere. So it's nice to see the availability and the bench strength of each of my teams so that you can borrow each other, leverage each other's resourcing, okay? And also, to also be real, because what happens is that of all the organizations, no matter what happened, engineer is the only one that's actually on call, if you think about it, right? When things break, you're the first one, you get called up nights and whatever. And so I always want to tell my team, bake it in. Products that have heavy tech debt, you should spend more time in maintenance support, resolving bugs, and removing tech debt. That means that you're going to build, have less resources to build features, right? And so let's just call it out for what it is, so that you actually have time to do it, versus you're just building, committed to this roadmap, and your nights and weekends become tech debt and bug fixing, and then you're on call on top of that. Okay, so let's be realistic and commit to all our stakeholders what we can do, the resource that we currently have. My recommendation is always to start small. This is actually a slide that I had from one of my former companies, is let's get a baseline and begin. When there's so much to do, right, when things are getting kind of hairy, let's go back and measure. And let's set goals that we can achieve. We know we're not going to get 99.99. Okay, that's industry standard. I get that. But let's be realistic. We're at like 92, right? We're a bit far away. And can we do that overnight? Absolutely not. Can we do the next quarter? No, we cannot. Can we do the half year? No. We were lucky. We got it in a year, sort of. Right? And we went up and down. But you know, we scraped it in and we made it. But let's be realistic. Let's not stress out our team to have this lofty goal that they're not even sure. Because if they don't think they can do it, they won't own it, and they won't be committed to doing it. And at the end of the day, you can't have accountability if no one's going to take that ownership you have, because they know, like, it's not impossible. Why do we even bother? Okay? And at the same time, it's like very important recognizing every step that the team makes improvement. Right? So what? We are where we are, but everything that the team does that moves the needle towards it, we recognize, we celebrate, because it's one step forward to get us to where we need to go. Measure, 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 right? When we build a lot of stuff, what we realize is that when we sit down and say, what does this customer think? And we're like, did we measure it? No, we didn't instrument it. We didn't have it in there. We're not quite sure what happened here in that experience, which is a black box. The customers drop off the funnel. We're not quite sure. So building things also means, besides all the systems, health, and engineering basics, you have to measure, and you have to actually build in those measurements and think about it, right? But also at the same time, too, as I mentioned earlier, it's like, measure at the beginning, get a baseline. It doesn't mean it's right. It's not about right and wrong. It's about looking at it together, laugh at, you right? Sometimes it's hilarious, but oh well, that's where we are, and all we can do is go up from here. So let's get started. And be patient, right? I think over the years I've built a lot of patience because it's not kind of not by nature, but I've learned to be a lot more patient because change at scale takes time, right? Especially you have to balance with so many other commitments, okay? And building a new muscle of measurements, review, A/B testing, customer feedback, readjusting, right? All the requirements to spec. It takes time and it takes iteration, but you will see impact, okay? And also, what I've also done over time is I have more meetings that focuses on delivering the results. So people know this is actually really, really important, okay? And then having a person be responsible for each of these measures so they can actually own it and drive it. And then try to if things are going south. And, last but not least, this is one of the most important things, is taking a break to re-energize, so you don't get burned out. And continuously reassess your org's tolerance to change, right? Different locations, they can react very differently, although they're under your same org, right? And then also reassessing the cadence. Are you running too fast? Maybe this quarter we need to slow down a little bit. Maybe this quarter we need to focus on some engineering excellence type of work, or this quarter we have this big contract with this customer that has a deadline with the contract. That's what we're going to focus on. So reassess and step back and see how your team is doing, and especially the health of your team. How are people feeling? A lot of times when I have my team meetings, one of the first questions is like, how y'all doing? Right? So I can begin to gauge the mood, the energy in the room, their emotional state. Because this is my leadership team. If they're feeling this way, I can just imagine how it is when they step out of the room, right? And how they're projected to their team. So I often look at the reports of my team to see like who's taking vacation, who's not. So some of the time I said, hey, you haven't had a vacation in a while. I think you need a day off. Like, don't you have errands to run? Don't you want to take a break or do something? Even if it's go to the gym. So I actually remind my folks that you need to have some time out. Go on vacation. Work is always going to be there. It'll be there probably when you still get back. So don't worry. Take a break. And so by doing this, I actually, over time, I realized that my team is much happier, right? Creativity, innovation starts to kick in when they have time to take a break and have some clarity, right? And so this is one of the most important things. I think of all the things that I've done is taking a pulse of my team. How are you doing? How are you doing? How are you doing? Time for a break. Time out. What do we do next? Where are we? What do we do next? Okay? Yeah, so things that I've done. And of course, I don't do all this thing at the same time. I'm about to have an all hands in my new org in a couple of weeks. Some of these slides, I will show them my leadership principles. But of course, I also have to start slowly, get their feedback, gauge a reaction, and then go from there. Right? Tailor and adapt them to the new company, the culture, the organization, my team. But moving forward, right? Because at the end of the day, right, accountability, owning, being proud of the work that they do or what we do, it's actually really critical for a company to succeed. Right? Thank you so much. And I would love to have a discussion and learn from all of you.
So I'll hand around this microphone for questions, but since I happen to have the microphone, I'm going to ask the first questions. All right, so as a leader, one of the leadership responsibilities is to hold the team accountable. We've all heard that, and you've described a number of your steps, and I'm curious, there are occasions when the leader has tried to follow all the steps you outlined and described the scope and rounds and everything else, and yet still the team does not meet what they promised, even though it was clearly defined. And there are occasions it's because they did not anticipate some surprise thing that no one knew about. So under this condition, what does it mean to hold the team accountable? They hit a surprise that nobody anticipated, even though everything else was clear. What does it mean?
Yes.
So that actually happens a lot. You thought you have something, you open up the covers and you have a big old spaghetti mess. That actually happens all the time. And the way I've always done with my team is like, oh well, so now we know. Right? To me, it's like when you look at it, it's a journey of an experience of growing. So now we know there's one area of the product, the tech stack that's really hairy. Let's look at it together. What are we going to do about it? And we have to share with each other that this is a space. Anybody who going forward touches this thing, just know that you have to estimate 2x, 3x. So I always use these things as learning opportunity, is because with a lot of things that we build over the years of people change before now, growth and things like that, and we don't like to document, the tribal knowledge all disappears, and so it happens a lot. But for me, is accountability is also about recognizing that this is what happened, and more importantly is, what are we going to do to get out of it? And to me, that's also owning it and being accountable for solving that problem.
Lessons learned.
You're proposing a solution.
I wonder also if in that particular context, there's some distinction between accountability and blame, right? And it's one thing to talk about accountability in terms of you've seen this problem be accountable, and then to surface it and make it something that you can solution, as opposed to putting it and framing it in terms of blame and saying, oh, there's this thing, and so now we're all screwed, and it's all over, and it's whose fault is it? I think is a very different mentality than an accountability mindset that looks at ownership and moving forward as opposed to ownership and fault.
Yeah, that's so easy. When things go wrong, and it's just, I think sometimes it's like human nature. And so, we try to solve and like blame this postmortem, blame this. So to remind people all the time, we put a big bold word at the top of the postmortem, blame this, right? But that's of course an obvious instance when it comes to building product, like SVELC projection. That's a little tougher sometimes. That actually does happen, right? More often than not. But I think at the end of the day is being a leader in that room, you actually have to be the person to speak and say, hey, what is the learning here? What are we going to do here? We're already here. There's no point to say, Susie, John, Mary, something happened. And so as a leader, it actually is the role that you sit at the table to make sure that we don't get to that point.
Just wanted to follow up on that as well. As we have this belief of accountability, but I think a huge factor on making successful teams is building safety within the teams. The teams have to understand that it's okay to do something wrong, because part of agility is empiricism, right? We try, we learn, we adapt, we improve over it, right? But it doesn't just end with the team. It has to be with the leaders, that they understand that the teams fail along the way. But to learn from it is what the team need to do. In order to do that, they have to feel safe to try. If they're not safe to try, they're not going to take that leap of faith.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. It has to build your company's culture to create that safe space, right? Otherwise, it's hard to take a risk and try and innovate a suggestion, a new idea, unless you create that safe space. And for me, a lot of times as a leader, I look at somebody's design, I already know it's not going to work like it's going to. And so, you provide comments, you provide feedback. I send in my staff engineer, other people lean in. But at the end of the day, I said, hey, look, we've all gave comments. The person heard it, acknowledged it. We had an open discussion. At the end of the day, that staff engineer, that engineer, that manager, that product person, at the end of the day, it is their project, right? We lean in, we give feedback, but at the end of the day, they own it, they make a call. And they're going to learn from it. Because, unless something's going to blow up, I tend to just let it go, let them learn, right? Or I propose that they break into phases, so at least the damage is a little less. We have, let's do that first MVP, let's go try it, does it actually work? And if it fails, okay, now you learn something new, right? But you have to give people a chance to build it, a chance to give it a shot, even if you know through experience it's not going to work, but let them try it. They have to learn.
I have a question about accountability going down as well. When I say down, I mean to my leaders, to my teams, as the position that we are accountable to our teams as well. Okay? And a lot of times that accountability is not from product delivery, it's more of maybe a growth, a career or a person, depending on the person in the leadership, depending on the level of seniority we're talking about. How do you balance that? Because things change, businesses change, that can impact all this. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, so I actually encourage my folks to step out of their comfort zone and try something new. I actually try to give them a percentage of their time to try it. Especially as part of career development, I tend to ask people, like, what's your aspiration? Someone once told me, I want to be director in 10 years, right? Or sometimes by this age, by 40, I want to be CTO. Right? So people tell me their career aspiration when we do career development. And my style has always been, I'm here to support you and help you grow and find your opportunities. How aggressive, how fast you want to go, that's on you, right? I'm going to throw the challenge at you. The faster you want to go, that's how fast I'm going to go. And with that, too, is we make a plan, and I give them a time. Like some of the folks, I encourage a lot of my folks to become full stack or to get into machine learning, to get into AI. And some of them, they begin to try, and I said, okay, so I have a couple of projects for you, my leadership team, and what is the percentage of time in the next sprint, the next milestone that you're going to try? Right? And sometimes they try, they don't like it, they're like, oh, that's not what I thought it was, I'm going to go back. And I said, that's fine, now you know one thing that you don't want to do in your career, right? Or one tech, or one domain, one product you never want to work on. And so then they would go back. And then I said, okay, so then what do you want to do now? They're like, I want to try something else. It's actually, some of them actually said, I just want to say my area of expertise. I said, sounds great, right? But yes, and so I tried to give them the time. And that's their low performer or something. I'm like, no, you need to go this thing. But for everyone, I always try to encourage, like, what's your career aspiration? What do you want to do? And then I offer opportunity. Would you like to try it? And encourage them, because your whole org gets much stronger if everyone grows, especially outside of their own domain.
Hi, May. I am a devil's advocate. What do you do with unmanageables? A very unmanageable team member, architect, a mid manager who has, God knows, CSM, CSPO, all sorts of certificates, but is unmanageable. What do you want to do with that? You're the leader.
A couple of things, right? Their titles, their certificate, their degree, great, all wonderful, that's why you're here. You got hired to this company. What are you going to do? I always ask that question back to them. I said, what are you doing? What would you like to do? Because usually when I come into a company in org or whatever, the person is there and they have this accountability. And I ask them, what do you want to do? And then have a check-in. Are they doing it? And then giving feedback. I'm a huge believer in giving feedback, giving it out and also receiving it, because that's how I'm going to grow. And it's not, I try not to take it personal. I try to also give it out. And as a leader, you have to give your people feedback, right? What are they doing? How are they doing? What's going well? What's not going so well? And then, depending on their aspiration, what do you want to do next? So some conversation I have with many people, they come in with great degrees and stuff, but it's like the wrong fit. The wrong fit, whether they just don't really enjoy what it is that they're building. And that happens sometimes. That happens. Then we have a conversation. Not what you expected. What were you expecting? And how come we were kind of missed each other? And so then, what now? And sometimes I mentor these people outside of my org, outside of the company. I help them find other opportunities outside of my org. And some of them, I just said, I have connections over there. That's probably where you want to go.
If anyone else has a burning desire to ask a question. Burning desire?
So, May, from your experience, one of the slides you brought up was capacity planning. But from your experience, how effective is that really in the long term? I understand, a lot of project managers, a lot of, management organizations take capacity planning to try to plan out the projects. Eventually, you get to the point where you said you could do it with this capacity. Why aren't you there? I really believe capacity planning in the short term, but not the long term. I just wanted your opinion and kind of your experiences. Has that ever really worked in the long term?
Yeah, usually when I do planning, it's only for the next year out, because things change so much. I think when I first started my career, we were doing 10-year plannings, whatever, like 5-year planning. But now it's just, we look at 1 year. What is our commitment for the next year? And then I break it up by half and then break it up by quarter. And then every quarter we begin to adjust. But yeah, that's for me, that's as much planning as I like to have. And the reason why I also look out for a year is because that's usually when the board gives you funding for a year, and they give you resource and funding, they expect you to deliver some results. But from an engineering, from a leadership perspective inside a building, I break it down by quarter and by milestones so that we can adjust and flex along the way. Knowing that at the end of the year we have to hit a certain target, but I work with my team on how we get to that target, right? Because at the end of the day, you have to build that thing, you have to raise that certain revenue, raise that certain percentage, whatever that goal is. But as a team, we figure out how we're going to do it and adjust along the way. The planning gives us a baseline of who we are, what we have, and what we know. As you go along, things will change and we have to adjust. Yeah, and so when I tell my team, like my new team now, I show them this thing and we start looking, they're like, oh my, I'm like, it's okay. What do you know? What do you think? Just put it down and let's have a discussion. And then we'll be in. It's not set in stone.
I want to add on to that. I want to say a post-mortem plays a very important role in that too. You're saying you can't plan because you say this went wrong over here. You like learn to build a little pattern. Like say how do you get to there's always going to be an escalation. That's going to chew up this one. So in a post-mortem and what went wrong and release, we always hope you plan for the next. So I'd say post-mortem plays a very important part.
Yeah, I completely understand.
Yeah.
The problem I see is management of accounting and finance. You take those numbers apart and they put back focus and I understand it's, things.
Under promise, over perform.
Patty, I mean, the check
People all the way tell each other things are not moving, the metrics are not moving like we thought, and sometimes
It's
we
about
miss it,
transparency.
Right.
Yes.
I would say
People who are used to doing things the whole way don't
Yeah.
understand.
to build on what you said, sometimes it's good to state the obvious, but say, now we've set it out now. Which I always do that thing. Don't assume everyone's on the same page. Make
So
sure
you guys are putting my videos to nowhere land. Come on.
Hi, I was wondering how you manage your strategic view if you only plan a year ahead, because often technology changes are happening over multi-year periods, and when you first notice them, they seem like they don't have anything to do with you. And if you're only planning a year ahead, by the time you do something about it, it might be that you've missed the point.
Yes. So my vision is multi-year. The strategy is multi-year. But when I actually do planning, I do it a year at a time. Because that's when I get the commitment, I get the funding, and I align with my leadership. But my vision and my strategy is multi-year. And usually when I talk to my team, I share, like, that's the vision, that's where we want to go. These are the high-level things we want to do. But for this year, this is what we're going to be doing, and how we're going to get there, and how we get there. But you're right in that sense. But at the same time, when you try to plan for more than a year at a time, usually by the end of the year, you have your annual planning, you have your budget, you present to the board, all of a sudden, like, they look at it from year at a time. And the delivery, right, and the result expectation, and then next year you come back and you're like, well, our vision is there, you're doing great, keep on going. Then the next parts come out. In the past, we used to plan for 3 years, we ended up just throwing it out the door because things change so much in the market, your competition does things and it completely changes your strategy and your vision sometimes. Sometimes you still have the vision, but the strategy is like, stop sometimes. So yeah, so now, for planning the organization, I look about a year. But my vision, my strategy is multi-year.
Sorry, very curious. How long does it take you to plan from like your vision, of course, it's 4 or 10 years to a year, and to break it down? How long does this process usually take in your experience?
So last several companies, it took about 2.5 months with a bunch of offsites. Like we have a product offsite, we have our stakeholders, all the business people had their offsite, and we have this cascading plans, if you will. Yes. Yes, we had cascading plan with the business people, the regional people, the international marketing people had their business strategy, and then it rolls down into product, and it rolls down. So by the time it's about 2.5 months with a lot of offsite. But to also be very clear, as a leader, we pretty much freeze. Like I don't do a lot other than planning during this 2.5 months because it's a lot of alignment planning, understanding, presentation, feedback, and we share about what happened last year. Are you sure you want to go this year again? Are you sure you want to go that path? So yeah, so from a leadership perspective, 2.5 months, that's all you can be doing most of the time.
Okay, okay. When I listen to you talk, I think you must have really clear values that guide your operating strategy, the way you lead. I'd love it if you could talk about your values and how those influence the way you show up in the workplace. Like when you said things like, well, I'm going to do the right thing, and if I get fired, oh well.
Good question. My values. I care a lot about, in terms of who I am, I care a lot about trust. I care actually a lot about doing what's right, having integrity. To me, it's actually really, really important. When I go to places that lack integrity, boy, I'm like a fish out of the water. So those are maybe some very strong things. It's like also commitment. When I give someone a commitment, I'm going to do something, I will do it. I will be there. I will show up. I will do my best, even if the result doesn't come out as like that's the best I can do, and I gave it. So those are some things that are very strong to core to who I am. Right, having trust with the people I work with, having that commitment. Right, we made a commitment to each other. I didn't make you do it. You said you would, so you're going to do it, right? And if you don't, just tell me so. Right? And then integrity. When no one is watching, are you still doing it? So that means if you and I align to do something and we both walk away, I'm thinking that time whenever you said you're going to do it, right? Not that you suddenly had amnesia, which sometimes happens, or you decide to drop the ball, or you decide to change the strategy and not even tell me, right? So those are some core things. But when so when I lead teams, I try to project that to them in how I lead the team, and I hope that it's something that they also value, and then we have a discussion.
Microphone, anyone?
Anyone? Oh, over here, there's a hand over there.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, put your hand up high so we can see you. Oh, there we go. Oh, there's two of them.
All right. This is a little maybe off the topic, but the past couple of places I've been in, it's really torn up the culture. And that's being in a place that's just underwent a merger and acquisition. And you got two sides of the team. And this has happened now a couple of times, 2 or 3 times in the past couple of years. I'm a contractor. But you walk into a place, it's not working. So do you have any hints with merger and acquisitions?
I do. I worked for Symantec for 12 years. Went over 30-some acquisitions in 12 years because that was their business model. It's like they acquire and they integrate, right? And then one of the largest one I went to is the one with Symantec, which was Veritas. It was probably one of the worst one I've ever experienced. I thought Symantec was so well. All these acquisitions came up, and boy, I wasn't sure I was going to make it. But to me, what I've learned is that I was just very fortunate at that time in that company that our business, when you come, two ginormous companies come together, where you have different values, right? You have different culture, different styles of leadership. I was fortunate enough at the time I was doing financial operations system. And my stakeholder was the CFO, he was the chief executive, the sponsor. I was just very fortunate. I was in a business unit with an extraordinarily strong C-level leader. To me, he's still the benchmark that I look to of what a leader is and who I'm like, one day I'd like to be you, and the values and stuff, and that's who I learned it from. And what happened, out of all the business unit at the time when you had just people, like if you went into a business unit that was led by one side of the company, everybody's on the other company all got let go. And you watch every business, you knew who was in power because all the other people got let go or they ran to the doors, depending on who the leader was. And what worked really well in our business unit at the time was the leader was very clean, he was very transparent. Welcome to my organization. I'm happy you've all arrived. So he was very welcoming that they all came. And of course, when we sat in the room of leadership, I saw my exact opposite, the other side. So that's when you get the tension, the stress, we're like, wow, we have two identical people, two identical org charts, two identical, and we're sitting here. But what I also learned from leadership at the time was having clarity to tell people, right? Because we were in financial systems and stuff at the time, he said, we are the acquiring company. We will use our financial operation system. Done, right? So he was very clear, but I welcome you. You all have a seat in these organizations. We want you to stay. We want you to come. We want you to choose you. But it's this system, this rules, this type of love. So he was very clear. And a lot of people stayed was because they knew, right? Because at the end of the day, when you think about it, people always want to know, do I belong? Do I have a role? Do I have a seat? Am I wanted? And the way he had presented it, I thought, wow, this is fantastic. Obviously, there's always be some people that didn't work, but for the most part, it worked really well. To this day, many of those folks are there. I'm still friends with. After all the stuff that happened, I'm still friends with and connected with. And that's when you have a very strong leader who's very clear.
That was a very informative presentation. Thank you. My question, I guess my comment is, since you talk about accountability, this was many years back. I wanted to just share that accountability also goes both directions, sort of. Meaning, the senior management, they were portraying a picture of a product which we at our engineering level knew it was not that great, but it was getting portrayed as a great product to their boss, and the company kept marching forward in the right direction, and we deep inside knew that things are not right. At the engineering level, we learned a lot from working on the product, but we knew that something is not right, and at the end, the company had to be shut down after many years in operation. So I was just sharing that when at the engineering level we don't see something appropriate, it's time to probably change the company because there is not much the managers or the senior people can do about it if they are going to portray a wrong information of the product. And the second point, I'd like to hear your feedback on that. And the second point is, would you, with all your experience, consider yourself as a manager or as a leader? Since we talked a lot about engineering management versus engineering leadership.
Yeah, when you look at companies that, in your experience of like what happened, it comes down to the culture and the leadership and their values, right? As a leader, if you're not able to speak your voice, right, and actually just say, like, this is not working, we're going on the wrong path, and being able to speak up, then that culture is not valuing even having a voice. Like, that means there's no dissent, there's no opinion, there's no discussion, right? There's no different perspective. It is time to vote with your foot and lead. To be honest with you, right? Because especially if you're looking at the leadership, if that is the company, that is the leadership bench, and we as a leader, you as a leader speaking up, and there's still more of that, then it's time to go versus being part of that sinking ship. I honestly truly believe that. And at the time, and I was shared earlier, it's like, I was going to be like, okay, Spirit, I'm leaving. You're going to fire me? I'm gone. This is not the place I want to be in because you hired me for architecture, design, organization, building scalable product. And if I'm not able to have a say and to tell you that it's not working, and if you want to let me go, it's okay, bye-bye, see you. Well, to your other point, leadership. That's why I call leadership principles. I always say leadership. Is because it's not about telling people what to do, knock them on the head, making people do anything. It never works, and there's like the worst, right? I actually, I don't actually call myself managers. I don't sit there and tell people, and now here's ABCFG. And this is exactly how it's going to work because in tech, none of that stuff is ever like that, right? So I set principles, I set guidelines, I create a framework, right? And people work inside it, and then we adjust the frame as we go. Right? So I see my role as I am there to. What I tell people a lot is like, we have direction, we have a North Star, we have that. We have resource, we have time. and I'm just gonna stand there and watch you all move towards the direction that we all agreed upon, right? If you bounce back and forth in between the rails that I set, that's actually normal, right? As long as you don't keep bouncing back and forth, then I was stepping going, is there an issue? How can I help? Other than that, I just let it go. And as long as we go, dead bodies are rolling on the ground, that's when I have to come in and say, oh, bloodshed, time out, right? I tend to let people go, right? Because, the team decides how they're gonna get there. We already set the map, and we already set the date and the time, and how much resources we have. So people just move, I just stand there. And the reason why I stand there, because nobody can go backwards. I said, I'm standing there for a reason, because we're going forward, gang, there's no going backwards. Right? So I'm pretty hands off. I give my team autonomy. I'm here to help them if they're needed. If not, then I'll do my thing and they do their thing. And at the end of the time, I'll watch the demo and we'll all celebrate.
I always tell people, you know the schedule, meet the schedule, let me know what the problems are, we'll solve the problem. Like I said, autonomy, let them do their job.
Yep, I have a question here. So it's about vision and visibility. I don't know if you could put the block diagram with the vision and backlog as a context. Very nice presentation. It sounded like there's a very nice visibility generally in the organizations that you worked in. So my question is that when you have a maybe more established organization that might have many layers between the vision and the actual people doing the work or the coding, for example, if it's a software product, versus your example of very fast-paced product development where you have tons of people but you have to get it out very fast. How do you communicate the vision, and do you repeatedly do that every month? You have all hands meetings and such, keep everyone on the same page and actually solving the same problem. Because in a big organizations I'm used to work in, there are many layers of management and architects, and everyone works as a broken phone in some way. You lose some information on time. You get the vision maybe once a year or something like that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Some of the smaller teams or some of the teams that move fast, we're actually just focused on bringing the product to life, the strategy and execution. We actually don't even focus on the vision because things are moving so fast, especially when you're not quite sure what you're building yet, or even the product has customer demands. Is there any value? Is there going to be potential revenue? A lot of times we're like, hey, let's just have an idea. We're going to build it. Let's see what it looks like. Let's do a demo. Let's go out and show it to a bunch of customers and see are they willing to pay for it? And so those things we're just building it, launching, go, testing and trying, right? But as teams mature, so if that thing sticks, it's going to land, and we decided that we're going to build it, we're going to invest it, then we need to take a look. We're building it now for whom? We got all this feedback. What did they say, right? What do they like? What are we actually going to do? Do we have that money? Do we have time? Then we begin to talk about that vision and growing it out, right? Because sometimes at the beginning you actually don't know. You kind of have an idea, but I don't know if it's actually a vision. And also you're right in all the layers. And so when you think about this, right? The big backlog and to the right of it, that's how most teams organize it. Hey, it doesn't matter who you are, what you're building. You kind of have to have something like this. What are all the things you're planning on doing? How are you going to break it apart? Who's doing what? And when do you think you're going to start launching? Because I like to see things, go out into a release every day. If sometimes it doesn't work, then how about every week? But it can't be once a quarter, once a month, right? And then as the team gets larger or gets larger, then you get to the other side. Because that's when you're like, okay, now we actually have a list of all the things we want to build, right, to bring our vision to life. And there's actually a strategy. Because sometimes, when you get to something, there's only one business person doing projecting, forecasting your revenue, your achievement revenue in all one roll in a hand. They're not going to have all this other stuff. They'll just kind of tell you as it goes. But usually when I come in and I see that, I'll say, hey, you have all these ideas in your head. Can you put it on paper for me? Even if it's just simple bullet points, just so I get an idea of what you're thinking. Right, so sometimes I start with very, very basic. It's just bullet points. A little doc, sometimes it's sticky in a room. And then I'm like, well, that's better than nothing. At least my team kind of understands what you're thinking, where you're going, and move forward. Yeah, so that thing sometimes it's rich, sometimes it's very, very lean, what's in it.
Anything else? Oh, right over here.
I want your quick comment on how do you bring people together across different geographies? Because especially if you have a headquarters and if you're driving requirements or driving your product vision to the place, other centers are biased and also it is less important. And how do you bring that equality in mindset and make them feel part of one organization, one goal?
Well, that's a great question. One of the things that I learned is before I build out a new site, I have to think about it. Do I really need a new site? What am I going to do? The farther they are, the more I have to think about the strategy. They can be autonomous. And when I build an organization, it's not like I'm going to build by myself. The HR group has to come with me. The recruiting team has to come with me. The finance people has to be there, right? And so I actually spend a lot of time to say, hey, I'm going to go in 2 years, or I need all these roles. I go out to my partners. Are you committed? And usually when I'm a person going, I have to provide the funding. So like, hey, so HR have to give you funding, recruit. So they have the funds, so the whole ecosystem pops up. Otherwise, it doesn't work. You just can't have a bunch of people sitting in the middle of nowhere without the whole ecosystem and support structure. So that's one. The other thing too is like, I actually think about, like in the last, my position at Uber, when I looked at building outside of the Bay Area, I looked at building out Bangalore. I created a 2-year strategy for our CTO that I'm going to take my work international to all the reasons why. And then my product says that, I work with my product, everybody else is like, this is what we're going to build, this is why. And so we look at it together. And then I had a review of, is there enough money, is there enough funding, is the roadmap rich enough for that 2 year to come to life? And my partners in HR and recruiting says, mine, we can hire. So I had a map of like every role, every skill level, every culture, who I can hire so they can actually go out and get all of the recruiters in place to hire all the skills that I want in this entire ecosystem. So you actually have to take the time and think it through. I remember I presented to the CTO, he had all kinds of comments, are you sure to do that? And then my partners all came to verify, yes, they will be there, they're going to do this. And finance says, yes, mine has the money to take this forward. And so the end of 2019 was the 2-year strategy, right? And the other thing that I've done is to make it work is I have what I call the ambassador program. That means that I always have a person from headquarters at the beginning when you build your work sitting in that location. So I tend to choose locations where I have people willing to go there with travel, it's safe, they have family. So the instance of Bangalore, I had a lot of folks who are from India who would love to sit there for several months, work remotely, see their family, and I'm more than happy, right? And so I began to look at everybody who's willing to go. So my leadership and I had looked at who wants to go to India for 3 months, 2 months, like we actually had, they put their names down. Then we looked at the level of the skill domain knowledge, and we began picking. At the beginning, it was okay, we would want a person who's really strong at recruiting and hiring and selling of our work, right? And then after, as we went out, and they were like, okay, what skill we need? We need a person who understands infrastructure, so they can tell and onboard all the new people how infrastructure work. So as the quarters went by, we sent ambassadors over there that the team over there needs to learn the skill. And then what I also do is have the other team on this side come back. So there's always a swap of back and forth. And so it's just like so that the knowledge transfers, the culture, the most important thing is the culture transfers. Because, the things like, when we look at our San Francisco team, we're like, what do we value? What makes us happy? What are some of the things that we work well as a team that we want to keep, regardless of where we are in the world? And so we documented that. And we went over there and shared them. I think one of my earlier trips, besides having TikTok open house to kind of get the excitement that my work has arrived in Bangalore, my leadership team arrived when a lot of folks first came, and I said, hey, here we are, get to know us, here's who we are and our values. Here's what we like, here's how we work together, here's what we prefer. And then tell us what you think, how's onboarding life for you? So we get a lot of feedback and we adjust that works for them and it also works for us. So the ambassador program actually works really well. Of course, it takes money and time, but it works really well. That's why picking the right location to grow to is actually really important.
Thank you. This will have to be the last question.
Hi, up on your slide you have an acronym, CSAT. What does that stand for, please?
CSAT, customer satisfaction.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, there are metrics, there's numbers associated with that, there's more than just an acronym there?
Yes, so we measure CSAT in a bunch of different ways, depending on the product. But usually when we start to build stuff, when we look at like what's wrong with our product, we tend to take a look at what are our customers telling us. Like this functionality doesn't work. It breaks all the time in this market, this country. So that's why when we look at stability and systems and the quality of the service we're providing, we always want to get the customer feedback and measure it.
Okay, with that, we'll have to call it. Thanks very much for having me.
Thank you so much.
Just a reminder, we already talked about what Steve is going to do for the SVELC Academy next month. It's going to be Ron Lichty. He's going to always be recruiting how to win and hiring in the tight market. So what time does it start, Emily?
5:15 we get social and 5:30 again.
Okay, so you can see that right away. Okay, at the very end here, we take time for announcements. If anyone has announcements, you're looking for a job, have opportunities, anything you'd like to announce to the group, stand up, let's have a look at it. There we go. Nice.
So my name's Doug. That was. Okay, so my turn. I haven't done this in a while. So I'm looking for a development role. I've been a long time developer. I've been doing web development in the Bay Area for 20 years. Different role titles, senior developer, consultant, architect, hands-on CTO, depending on the size. A lot of early stage work, early stage startups have helped. But I've also worked in big places like Visa. So, anybody has any leads?
Okay. You should talk to, what's his name, Mark Allen. Yeah, Mark Allen. Anyone else? Okay, back over here. That's over here.
Hi, my name is Richard. I'm a embedded firmware engineer. Been around development for a while. I have good experience in C and C++, Python to get by. I can pick up anything you need to know. I'm good at finding problems and solving them, seeing the tractable problems. Looking for a developer position. My name is Richard. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Right here.
Hi, my name is Joy Santos, and I'm currently working at Autodesk in San Francisco. When my contract is ending, so I'm an IT project manager, and I'm looking for a similar role. I've done mergers and acquisitions, CRM projects, and I also have web development skills, and I've done a lot of web projects. So anyone has a lead, they'll be much appreciated.
Oh, on that one.
Project manager.
Yeah, on that one. Joy is certified Scrum Master, Lean Agile leader. She's good at Agile.
Hi, my name is Padmini, and I am a certified Kanban accredited Kanban trainer. So if anyone wants any kind of Kanban training, specifically where you have to manage your demand with the capacity that you have, you might want to talk to me. The other thing is I'm also a SPC, Skill Agile professional, and I can also train people specifically for product development as well as for release. So here I have my own company. So I'm planning on having a class in April. I'm trying to look for a good location. Once I have it, I will be announcing the place, and you are more than welcome to come and attend. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Sharon Yu. So I'm currently with Applied Materials. I'm a product manager. We're a semiconductor company making those little niche cool chips inside all your devices. So I've been working in a lot of cross-functional teams, project manager, product manager, So I'd like to find out if there are other opportunities outside of applied materials. I think it's time for a change. Thanks, everyone.
Do you still want the mic?
So I'm Pat. I'm looking for either technical lead or engineering manager at a established company, not a startup. Because I've been doing the startup route a lot. And so I'm looking for a company that's established with revenue, that's looking for technical leadership. And I've done pretty much every programming language out there. So full stack engineer.
Again, you should talk to Mark Alvin, who comes as a recruiter. He does some Mark Alvin. What's it doing? I'm tired. Look up Alvin Engineering. Yeah. There's recruiting. Oh, you're right. Yeah. Okay. That's not good. So talk to him.
Talk to you.
With it. Thank you, Bob. Okay, that's it. Two last things.
One more.
Sorry, Amanda.
Hi, my name is Phil. That's my first time here.
Oh, welcome.
Hi, Bill.
Welcome, Phil.
I would like to actually just toss that I've done work for VA hospitals and other federal agencies as well too. I'm not a recruiter, but I know in Silicon Valley, private businesses are the king of the block. But for those that are looking for other jobs, if you can get in with a federal job, there's a site called usajobs.gov, and once you're in, you're pretty much in there as long as you want. So for those that find it difficult to get back in the workforce, you can pretty much stay in.
That's good.
That's what I agree.
Okay, so two last things. There's a book swap program. The book swap program, if you have a book you'd like to take it, if books you'd like to contribute, please bring them in next time. Also, these books can we run in, they're free. If you can have a look and take what you like. And then finally, we need to pick a class up. It's kind of like that. So when you get done, if you could bust your table, get it reorganized, so that our job doesn't get yelled at tomorrow. Thank you all very much for seeing me.
Big hand to everyone.